Way to the top floor, going up on the escalator. Shawty popping shoes in the back room, she gon' need her restraint. I would kick you out of my house right now, I call it a dead name. This fast, then crashing up shop. If you ain't got a dollar amount, you know I gotta go. My tolerance kinda ran high, I'll pop me some more. You can come out home that late, or you can meet me at the show. I'm excited going big on, take on the cash. I've been certified my whole life, come check my registration. Yeah, I'm drunk, but I ain't driving, yes, and I know my destination. I got a sticky thing in the trunk in the back, my priest don't estimate. Man, this shit gets so damn good in the back, gotta pay where it escalate. That damn money going way to the top floor, going up on the escalate. Shawty popping shoes in the back room, she gon' need her restraint. I would kick you out of my house right now, I call it a dead name. Dirty lemonade, you are in the way. Honey me plain, throw that in the grave. They want me in the cage, fill that bitch with haze. Y'all was waiting on, yeah, I got the ring. This fast, been crashing up show. If you ain't got a dollar amount, you know I gotta go. My tolerance gonna ran high, I'll pop me some more. You can come out on that late, or you can meet me at the show. I'm the target going big on, take on the cash. I've been certified my whole life, come check my registration. Yeah, I'm drunk, but I ain't driving, yes, and I know my destination. I got a sticky thing in the trunk in the back, my priest don't estimate them. Man, this shit getting so damn good in the back, gotta figure where to escalate. That damn money going way to the top floor, going up on the escalate. Shawty popping shoes in the back room, she gon' need her restraint. I would kick her out of my house right now, I call it a dead name. Man, this shit getting so damn good in the back, gotta figure where to escalate. Got that money going way to the top floor, going up on the escalator. Shawty popping shoes in the back room, she gon' need her restraint. I would kick you out of my house right now, I call it a dead name, call it a dead name. I'm spinning every ball in the mouth, tell her, baby, come wake me up. Before we jumped out the bed, she gave me leg. Yeah, broke out the fire, the facts can't talk to me, that's how I break it up. Yeah, throw all the ones in the air, coach, I come here, come break it up. Yeah, I'm turning it complete, face little nigga, I'll mess you up. Yeah, I'm right now. I got a club on up right now. I'm brand new rough truck in here. Right there, bitch like a buccaneer. Shawty going up at the Belvedere. Oh my God, can't see it clear. Oh my God, it's straight clear. Oh my, what's the last year? Skin Express here. I seen him back to the premiere. My down's here smelling like a windmill. Right down the block and I'm watching for the little deers.
All right, Mom and Dad, that's enough screen time for today.
I literally just saved us more money by finding 2 subscriptions we forgot about with Navy Federal
I
Credit
hate
Union's
ads.
mobile app.
Yeah, and I just
We'll
protected
start
our
here in
credit
just a second,
from
guys.
cringe fraudsters with their security tech.
Don't you want to spend some time on social media?
Will social
make sure-
media help us manifest your college tuition?
I have
The
everything
best
set up
banking ever
right.
with one of America's top-rated digital banking experiences, Navy Federal Credit Union. Our
I'm sure I
members
can
of the
hear
mission.
myself.
Navy Federal.
For today. I literally just saved us more money by finding 2
Yeah.
subscriptions we forgot
Okay.
about with Navy Federal Credit.
We're good.
NCUA message and data rates.
We'll give it a little bit.
NavyFederal.org for more information.
More time and then we'll get started.
On the highway and I'm thinking that I love her. On the highway and I'm thinking ain't no rubber. On the highway with my significant love. On the highway and I'm thinking that I love her. On the highway and I'm thinking ain't no rubber.
Yeah, Don Tolliver kind of snapped with this one.
With my significant love.
Not gonna lie.
You've been running in the summer, you got a brand new Hummer. We laugh all day, like dumber and dumber. I'm about to shoot my shot, she loving my jumper. My favorite outfit is her see-through girl, rubber. Don't worry, I got you. I promise I won't hurt her. She tight like snapping turtle. She squirt like that shit vital. Got drinking my cup on Perco. She knew that ass a psycho. I'm sipping on greatest turbo. We said that she gon' hurt though. I just hope you got me. This isn't what it's supposed to be. On the highway and I'm thinking that I love her. On the highway and I'm thinking ain't no rubber. On the highway with my significant lover. It go. You've been running in the summer. You got a brand new mama. We laugh all day like dumber. I'm about to shoot my shot. She love it, my jumper. My favorite outfit is a single girl rubber. What would I play when I know the shit? What would I play when I know the shit stop? Tell the DJ go right now. Tell the DJ go right now. I got so many issues and I might need some more misses. I'm sitting here by myself, dog. Ain't nobody you no tissue. What would I play when I know the shit? What would I play when I know the shit stop? Tell the DJ go right now. Tell the DJ go right now. She got the good shit, that shit really fun. Get my little life when you ready to move. Get my little life when you ready to move. Back in that trap. Back in that trap. I'm on the east side, I'm on the north side. South to the west, baby, where's your at? I'm from that clean going way up the map. Car to a 6-man, turn out my hats. I'm on the jet trying to get these specs. Call up for to set up the mess. What would I play when I know this shit? What would I play when I know this shit slack? Tell the DJ gon' run it. Tell the DJ gon' run it. What would I play when I know this shit? What would I play when I know this shit? Tell the DJ gon' run it. Tell the DJ gon' run it. What would I play? Phone in the gate. Boy, from Molly and Green Dust. Yeah, I'm insane. Boy, my trippin', they shiny, just jump on the bang bus. If I way down in the sea, I done went drop my anchor. What is he talking about? No, I'm talking about this is about that hey, like switching away the lane delirious. Pull your block is fast and furious. Switching away the lane delirious. Pull your block is fast and furious. You can be talking this, you can't be serious. I got the bag, you know that I'm clearly. Who in the lamp, who in the porch, who in the audio, who will be steering?
All right.
On February 27th.
On that note, we will get started because I am so tired of ads. Okay, hold on. Pause this. Okay, so, okay, let me turn this off. I know it's a little different this time. I know I was a little camera shy before, but we decided to do the face reveal for those that don't know what I look like. I mean, some of y'all already know, what I look like, but for those that don't, hello, this is me. Hi. Anyways, I just wanted to really hop on here. I know I've been inconsistent. I've been, like I said, I know I've said in the past, I'm trying to get back in the groove of things and I guess, hold myself more accountable to be doing this because I know it probably, and I know I don't have a large audience or whatever. So at the end of the day, if somebody sees this and, they're like, why the hell is this guy doing it when he only has less than 50 subscribers, then I just do it because I love it at the end of the day. And, like I said, if someone stumbles across, one of these videos and it, helps them out, that's the essential goal at the end of the day. I'm not really looking to become like an influencer or become famous or anything like that, because you don't need that type of recognition in this industry to be successful. And I know a lot of people think, oh, I need to, get my name out there as far as, receive, some type of, confirmation that, I can do what I, know I can do. No, as long as you know within yourself and you know what you're capable of, that should be, enough at the end of the day. And so it is for me. And so the only reason why I do this is because I really enjoy it. And like I said, if it helps somebody else out, then great. If, like I said, nobody ever sees this, then no harm, no foul. Like I said, I can, say whatever I want, do whatever I want, embarrass myself however I want to. And like I said, not feel ashamed for it, because I mean, for the longest time, and I guess this is my opening monologue, so to speak, for the longest time, I kind of pretended to be somebody that I wasn't. Or in another way to put it, I was pursuing my goals for maybe the wrong reasons, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And it was frustrating because I thought I was doing all the right things, but I wasn't making any progress. And that was very difficult to swallow, especially in this industry, because I mean, whenever you're dealing with, real money at the end of the day, or even prop firms, it can take a toll on you, on your mental capital. And when you meet anybody that does this, that is like successful with this, obviously, you can meet people on the street every day, and you'll ask them, or they'll ask you, oh, what do you do? And you say, oh, I'm a day trader. Oh, I got some money in this, that, and the other stocks, this, that, all that. And yeah, well, while I do, understand, everybody should be, have some sort of plan, financial plan, portfolio, whatever. It's different when it comes to, making this, your main source of income. Like this is my main source of income. I rely on this to basically live. And so that's where the difference comes in. And that's, when I speak about my experiences and my perspective is a better word, my perspective, that's where all of this comes from. So don't want to, blab on, for too long, even though I could probably go on and on and on and on forever and ever. Let's go ahead and just get started here. So last time, I think we left off, I will have to check. I do not even remember what my last live stream was. I think it was a couple weeks ago, but let me check real quick. 2 weeks ago, February 5th. So 15 days. So it's been 15 days. Let me see. Where's February 5th? And we're on the charts here right now. This is the NASDAQ. I figured we'd start with the NASDAQ. That's what this is my bread and butter. This is what I day trade on a regular basis, on a daily basis. So let's look at the 5th. Where was the 5th? 5th was right here. So we'll delineate that. So this is the price action that we've had since then. And it's a little bit clear, but after this week, I'm still a little bit suspect, because I wanted to honestly see this thing stay heavy, and it's not screaming up, and it's not showing me that this thing wants to reverse just yet. I really would not like it to reverse. In my opinion, I would really prefer lower prices. And I know I probably sound, like a contrarian whenever I say that, but this is everything that I say is based on logic, my analysis. It's not based on my emotion. It's not based on what, I would rather see, as a perma bull or perma bear. I don't I don't go to the extreme. I literally look at what's in the charts, what's available, and I give my analysis on that. And that's what I've basically done throughout my whole entire career of doing this for, I can't even remember. It's been almost maybe 2 years now. Yeah, something like that. But that's all that I do here. And I never, want to give my opinion as far as from an emotional standpoint. It's always just from, a technical analysis standpoint. So this is what, the weekly chart is looking like. And I forgot to mention today's date. If you can see it, can y'all see it on the stream? Let me check. No, y'all cannot see it on the stream. So today is, let me go back to the daily chart. Today, if y'all can see that down at the bottom there, look down here at this right here. Today is, if I can get over it right there. Today is Friday, February 20th. And I know I mentioned that I live streamed, on the 5th, and I said 15 days. So y'all could have done the math beforehand, but just in case, today is February 20th, 2026. And it's also listed in the description of the live stream. So also, if people aren't watching this live, this will be posted later on, and it will be on my YouTube page. So feel free to go back and watch it whenever you want. You can probably skip through all the beginning stuff of listening to music while we were getting set up. Also, sometimes I tend to talk, a lot. So, I mean, if you don't want to, sit here for, an hour or so, you can, just wait for, the replay to come to be posted, and then, put my ass into like 1.5 or 1.3x speed, speed up the process. But anyways, so we were on the weekly chart. And so this is the March delivery contract for the NASDAQ index futures. As we can see, we, had basically an all-time high. We stabbed up into this 3 weeks ago, it looks like, at the beginning of January. And the first thing I'll say about that is based on previous market data and, 10 years, 30 years of data, and also my knowledge of smart money concepts, which is what I use. And I know I'm repeating some of the things that I have in my other live streams, but the people that maybe haven't seen my videos before or brand new, I want to, kind of, reiterate that so everybody knows where I'm coming from. So if something, like I said, I repeat myself, I apologize if you've already heard it, but that's just for, the people that are coming in that are new. Anyways, so with my knowledge of smart money concepts, my perception of what a candlestick formation is, and as we can, we know what a candlestick is, and we know, we have different time frames up here. So we have, if we go down to 1 hour, we have more candlesticks on the 1 hour than we do on the weekly chart. We have more candlesticks on the 1 minute than we do on the 1 hour, and so on and so forth. But everything is pretty much the same when it comes to a price action standpoint. The only difference is whatever time frame that you're looking at, that is where, a lot of people, have their differences as far as when they do their analysis and how they navigate price. But it's called it's called at the end of the day fractal. It's called a fractal. So I mean, we're looking at a fractal of price right here on the weekly chart. If we go down to a daily chart, we're looking at the fractal on the daily chart. And so basically what I was trying to explain is that candlestick formations in the past, and based on what I've learned from smart money concepts, are the power of three. And the power of three is first manipulation. And manipulation is straight up what it sounds like. It's, the fake move, so to speak. It's to catch people off guard, and it's to draw people in. So that's why when I looked at this, and I see in January, at the beginning of the year, especially when the power of three is manipulation, accumulation, and distribution, and I'll explain what all that means. Manipulation is the fake move. Accumulation is like a waiting time period to allow people to put their money into and actually get into an asset or a marketplace. And then distribution is when they distribute either from low to high or high to low, depending on the bias of whatever the asset is. So where I was going with all of this is that when the power of three is first manipulation, then accumulation, then distribution, if we see a rise in price, especially in something as popular as the NASDAQ at the beginning of the year, and just based on previous market data too, you can go back 20 years, 15 years, 30 years, 50 years, whatever, how long, and see this data as well. If we notice, there's a rise at the beginning of the year, and we understand that just like a 1 minute candle, a 15-minute candle, a daily candle, a weekly candle, there is a yearly candle. And I mean, we can look at that, but I mean, I don't really look at yearly candles, so to speak. But if we understand that, price is, fractal and it has the same tendencies across every time frame, if we see it rise at the beginning of the year, is that a good thing or a bad thing? In my eyes, and I like I said, I never want to have a hardline bias at the beginning of the year. Anyways, I usually like to wait till the first quarter, towards the middle of March or whatever, to see after we have maybe a quarterly shift. But if I see it, prices rise at the beginning of the year, that makes me a little nervous, because while it looks good to everybody else, being like, oh, it's going up at the beginning, so it's just going to go up the rest of the year. From a professional standpoint, that makes me nervous. And as we can see what has transpired so far throughout the year, it's right now not looking very, very good for the bulls. Let me put it that way. Now, I'm not saying it can't change. I never am automatically going to say it's going to go down for the rest of the year, because anything could happen, especially when my perception of what these markets are driven by is artificial intelligence and not, buying and selling pressure, which a lot of people still believe at the end of the day. The people that are behind the curtain, so to speak, that are, pulling the strings with all this, they could do whatever they want with it. And there's a lot of uncertainty, in the world right now. And we can see it reflected in these financial markets, as it is very difficult to trade in these right now. If you're having a tough time navigating these, or if you are a day trader and you are, a little bit hesitant to, stick to a hardline bias, it's okay, because a lot of people are right now, including myself. And so if you don't have maybe the skill set of being a scalper or a very, very short-term day trader, then, like I said, I wouldn't feel confident in taking anything. Like, and me myself personally, I am not in anything long-term right now, just for that reason. So it is what it is. And, I don't have an answer of if it's going to clear up or when it's going to clear up. And we have to take it, day to day, week by week, month. And probably towards May and April, it'll probably clear up a little more. Where we're at that time is gonna, like I said, it might be dramatically different than where we're at right now. It might be different than what I'm seeing so far in the charts, but everything that I'm going to speak about today is purely based on what I see right now. And like I said, there's a lot of uncertainty. So I'm subjecting myself to being wrong, even though on my other social media platforms like Instagram and Snapchat, sort of, I kind of have been getting back on there a little bit. I've had, I took a break from that. And so I'm kind of getting back into that, so to speak. But on my other social media platforms, I've posted some things of my perception of where things are headed, and they have come to fruition. Now, that's both in the stock market, or I should say, the U.S. Financial markets and also cryptocurrency as well. But right now, it's very indecisive. So that's the reason why I'm subjecting myself to being wrong, and that's okay. And don't feel bad if you get it wrong more often than you're used to, because it is what it is right now. So we'll continue with the analysis part of it. I don't want to get too deep into all the external stuff, but we see it spike up in here in January. And so when it did this and it retraced and then it closed right here, look where all the bodies have the candle closure bodies. So obviously we have wicks that stab up here, but these candles bodies from January on have closed below these other candle bodies that were from the previous year. So what that has sort of told me so far is that this thing is not very strong at the end of the day. But like I said, anything can happen. At the drop of a hat, we could go to WAR. I don't want to say it out loud, but like I said, we could drop something somewhere, if you catch my drift. And these markets just absolutely go to levels that are absurd. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. It's just, it's how this works. I mean, this, they use these financial markets sometimes as a smoke screen, or maybe a black sheep to explain why things are happening in the world when it's typically the opposite, at the end of the day. But that's like I said, that's me sort of getting into that conspiracy side of things, which, I mean, I tend to try to limit myself when I say a bunch of that, because that's where I get into a lot of, where a lot of people, look at me like I'm crazy or delusional. But I mean, when it happens, or when I say something and it does it, I don't know what else to do to prove that that's essentially how this works. And I know I'm being very ambiguous with it, but you'll catch the drift, if I get off on a rant or go on a tangent. But anyways, weekly charts right here. So I mean, we have these two lows right here, which, I mean, after last week, I was wanting to see us just wilt and get below this low and then get below this low as well, because then after that, we have these two levels right here, equal level lows, that I was going to say that, that was going to be hit pretty fast. But after this week, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what, happens on Sunday when we open up next week. And, maybe even Monday. I usually like Mondays to gauge, how the week is going to, sort of transpire at the end of the day. And I don't typically like to trade, or let me put it this way. My least favorite days to trade are Mondays and Fridays. And today's a Friday, like I said, end of the week, there's typically not a lot of movement. Same with Mondays. Mondays can be very indecisive, and you can get chopped up. And so that's the reason why I usually like to let Mondays just kind of be a guide of, how the week is going to unfold. Excuse me. So I have reason to believe that we might want to get up into this volume imbalance right here. We can see if we zoom in. So we stopped short of it right there. So we could see a spike into that either maybe towards the end of the day here, or even, next week. But when I saw this reach up here but stop short of it, that led me to believe that we might be, kind of being short-term bullish on maybe a daily time frame or a 4-hour time frame on the lower time frames. But overall, this weekly sentiment to me is still bearish. Like I said, it's still a little bit early in the year for me to have a hardline bias. And stick with that on a daily and weekly regular basis. So I'm not, going to tell you, this thing's going to go down for the rest of the year, or this thing's going to go up for the rest of the years. But we'll look at what we have in the lower time frames, and I'll give you my perception of what I see in there also. So we'll drop down to the daily chart. So the daily chart, we were in this mess right here. This was absolutely atrocious. And if you're new and you were trying to learn how to trade during this time, you could look at it at both sides of the coin. Like you probably learned to trade if you like I said, were learning the technical side of things during the toughest time that I have ever experienced. I know I'm not that experienced as well, less than 2 years. I mean, you could argue the fact, oh, you haven't had, I mean, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, fair enough. But in my personal opinion, this was awful. I'm sorry. This was just sideways. And I can't imagine if the people that were learning how to trade, if they were putting real money behind it. I don't even want to think about that, because that just brings back memories of when I was learning how to do this, and all the bad stuff that happened, and it wasn't even as bad. It wasn't even in these kind of conditions either. So can't imagine. Anyway, so the daily is where I wanted to kind of focus, and I'll do the 5th again here. So this is where we left off in my last live stream. So I really wanted to see this thing just accelerate below this low and try to, get some momentum towards here. But after this day right here, I was like, okay, well, we might want to, revisit here, get into this breaker right here, which is a high, a low, and then a higher high that takes this liquidity right here. So this down candle becomes this breaker. We got up into this volume imbalance, and I'll mark that. So we got up into this volume imbalance here, and we found sensitivity around the middle, the midpoint, which I'll mark right there as well. We'll see it in the lower time frames, but it can't get above it. And then we dropped pretty sharply, but we've kind of slowed down since then. So this is where, I'm saying it's indecisive. So in my opinion, if we open up next week lower than we close maybe here, that might, make me a little bit more confident that we'll go lower. If we open up higher, then like I said, we might be going up a little bit higher for the time being. Like I said, it's yet to be seen. And like I said, after this week, I have, like I said, I have to wait and, get more information at the end of the day. Like I said, I would prefer lower prices, but I'm not going to stick to that hardline bias. We also have this small imbalance right here. Now, what I would like to see, if it does want to be bearish, is I would like to see this candle body not close above this imbalance right there. And when I say imbalance, you can use the word fair value gap as well too. So I would not like to see a candle body close above here. That would lead me to believe that this thing, still might respect, these premium PD arrays. But if we measure from this low to this high, where's equilibrium? Right here. So we are in a premium. So I would like to maybe see some accumulation up here. I wouldn't like to see it come up here. If I'm bearish, if it's bearish, I wouldn't like to see it come up here. But like I said, this is all from a daily perspective. And what did I say at the beginning? I wouldn't trade on this time frame. I wouldn't take a trade on the daily time frame. And if that's the only type of trader that you can be, just because of your life, your job or whatever, then stay out. That's all really that I can say. Just stay out. It's better to be patient. And I know it's hard because it could be weeks before stuff clears up, but it's gonna be a lot better for you and better for your psyche and mental capital and, mental health to just not even touch it. But anyways, we'll get into the lower time frame so we can see what we've had, this week. Very, very small, not the largest range week this week. We did have, President's Day this past Monday, so there was a holiday. We had some news. We had PPI come out today on Friday. There was a lot of news today, but wrong tab. But yeah, today and this week was kind of tough, and I'm saying that from my personal opinion. If you thought this week was easy, more power to you. Anyway, so we'll drop down to the 4 hour. So 4 hour, we have this large imbalance. I like that we did have, this sweep this, but the candle body stayed below it. And if this thing can, show some willingness, towards the downside, towards the end of the day, then, like I said, I might be a little bit more comfortable, keeping, a bearish tone for right now. But this was a mess. This is still a mess. I mean, this was nice. And, from right here to right here, that was nice. But that's when we had this day right here. That was Tuesday. And that's what I said, it was kind of, now we're going to have to, wait, because this thing isn't as weak as maybe we thought it once was. 1 hour. 1 hour is not that much better, guys. We had this low barely came down below this low, so I do see how that's a shallow run. We have this right here, which is a breaker, comes down today, hits that breaker. It's a bullish breaker instead of a bearish breaker because it's a swing low, swing high, and a lower swing low that takes this liquidity. So the highest up candle within this pattern, which is my up candles are blue, that becomes a breaker. Also, I have this on another tab, but I don't have it marked here. If we take this wick, this daily wick, I know we're going to do from low to high. So from the low to the start of this wick, take that off. These are my Fibonacci settings as well. If you use Fibonacci, you're more than welcome to copy them, pause the video, take a screenshot, whatever. Do what you want. There's nothing real special about them. It's just the way that you use it is going to, like I said, that's the main thing. I mean, you could have these levels on there, but if you don't know how to use a Fibonacci, then it means nothing. Okay, so what do I want? I wanted to extend this. So let's go back to the 1 hour. See where I'm going with this. So as I have gotten the quadrants of this wick, look where it comes down to. Upper quadrant, and that was right at opening bell. Boom. And then had a nice bullish reaction. And we've kind of just been consolidating ever since, when was this, 10 o'clock? Yeah, after 10 o'clock. This was the draw. And once we got up there, you can see, what it's doing now. So if you didn't get in down here, if you didn't get in over here, if you didn't get in over here, yeah, don't touch this anymore. I took a really small scalp long, like right at the middle of the daily fair value gap. I'll show you the setup. But yeah, this, like I said, it's still pretty indecisive in my opinion. 15-minute, we'll look at today's price action. Like I said, drops down 930, hits that breaker, and the upper quadrant of the daily wick and sends us immediately higher. We'll go down straight to the 1 minute so you can see it. Not really any opportunity to get in right as, right here. And if you didn't get in below this high, I wouldn't have trusted anything, entering anymore. In my opinion, that's what my analysis would tell me. If you're confident taking this trade, then by all means do it. But so let me see here. So here is the first presented fair value gap. And that's what I was saying, like it didn't allow you an entry from this morning. And what the first presented fair value gap is, it's the first fair value gap that is made, or that is formed post the 9:30 opening bell. So I'll make this yellow. Hopefully y'all can see that. Let me make it a little bit darker. So yeah, nothing. Like I said, it pretty much just left. If you didn't get in down here, or you didn't, you weren't anticipating it, and you weren't, in something like right here, and just buying it from order flow, bullish order flow, then I wouldn't have touched it. But here's where I scalp long. So as we can see right here, I like to use macro times, and macros are 10 minutes before an hour, and the last 10 minutes of an hour, I should say, and the first 10 minutes of another hour, of the new hour, I should say. So between these two times is that macro time. I got in before the macro. So when I was seeing all of this, I was wanting to see, and I had this daily fair value gap marked with the middle of it. And I wanted to see, if this thing was going to, stay below it or get above it. And as soon as it got above it right here, this confirmed to me that we were going to go above here, and we were going to head towards, where is it? Yeah, this weekly volume imbalance that I had shown you beforehand. So let me get this right here. So that's the reason why I took the trade that I did this morning. Let's go back to the 1 minute. Or we need to, sorry. I know it's really zoomed in. Hold on, I'll fix it. Just give me a second. Okay. So that's the reason why I took the trade that I did. And even though I didn't get my full target, I was still, profitable within the trade that I, took, because I had this high, and then I also had, hold on, guys. It's funny. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Anyways, okay, so where were we? So this is, like I said, I had what I was looking at higher time frame targets. was looking at this wick also. And I measured in between the halfway point between the lower quadrant and the upper quadrant right there. And I noticed, this had that shallow run right there. So I was expecting it to, try to drive up here. So what did I do? I measured halfway in between that as well. And as we can see, boom, hits it perfectly. So I took my trade right here because, like I said, as soon as we got above the middle of this daily fair value gap, I was like, okay, this thing is going to want to go higher. It's during a macro time, and I have a higher time frame draw on liquidity, which was this volume imbalance. So what did I do? I put my limit order right at the start of this fair value gap right here. I got in on this candle, and my stop right below the lower quadrant of this daily fair value gap, so a little bit below this candle's low. And I essentially was first targeting originally the start of basically the lower quadrant of the wick. So I took my first partial right there, and then I took a second partial as it went above there, and then I took one more partial right there, and then I had like one runner on, and I held for this, and I never got it. And then I moved my stop, I think, like right there, and I think I closed it out before it stopped me out because I noticed that it was losing strength, and we were getting, towards the end of the macro time. So this was my trade this morning. I think I got out like right there or something like that. So pretty solid trade. I didn't risk a lot, just because I didn't risk a lot this week as well. For the account size that I do have, I was heavily de-risking because typically I like to do maybe 1.5–2% of the account, but I was doing maybe 0.5% or a little bit more than that, maybe 3/4 or something like that. So like I said, if I see cleaner setups, I'll use more leverage. But right now you can see the way that I'm talking, I'm just not as confident. So I'm not gonna put as much money where my mouth is. Anyway, so that was a trade recap from today. That's not really what this whole video should be about, but that's just for y'all, if y'all wanted to take that and use it for anything. Let me see what else that I want to talk about on the NASDAQ. Like I said, I gave what I wanted to see, maybe going into next week. I gave my analysis on where we're at right now. So let's transition to something else. So let's go over to something that a lot of people have been interested in, which is gold. And I had a little bit of a prediction on gold, short term. And if you go back and watch my stories or if you were a part of that in my other social media, you would have saw that I basically said, hey, gold's going to come up here, it's going to drop down. And now this is where I'm saying, okay, now I'm not really sure, So here's what I'm going to say. If gold gets above this high right here, if gold gets above this high right here and gets above this gray shaded box, I don't know. We might maybe have a good chance of this challenging, somewhere up here. This to me, though, this was a heavy drop. I mean, if you look at silver, let's look at silver. Where's silver? There it is. I don't know how silver is going to recover, guys. I really don't. Even if it does get above this high, I mean, this thing is huge. This thing is a huge. I mean, look at the size of the candles, like leading up to it compared to what happened. Like, you don't have to be a day trader to just see this and be like, Yeah, that thing just fell off a cliff. And it was one day. Because look, we're on the daily chart. This was one day. How much did it drop? 20, 30%. 30%, guys. We're talking like, imagine getting in right here, riding this up just to have it all. And I really don't mean to laugh about it because it's not funny. It really isn't funny. Because this is the type of stuff that literally ruins people's lives. And this is the type of stuff where, when somebody does say, oh, I'm an investor, I'm a financial analyst, I'm a day trader, I'm this, that, and the other within the financial markets, this is where people create the perception of, oh, so you're one of those people. Okay, so you just got lucky, because sometimes, their experience with all of this has been something like what happened with silver, or even worse, what happened with Bitcoin. And that's another conversation that we'll get into. But commodities right now, crude oil is pretty good. Crude oil, it's looking pretty good. I would like to see it, if it closes above here this week, I'd like to see it stay within this candle right here, not drop below it and accelerate higher. What does that mean? What does that mean for gas? I'll let you come to that conclusion. Can't give you everything. I can show you, but it's up to you to come to the determination of what you want to do with this information. Let's look at live cattle, man. Jeez, that's had a nice, healthy, what's the word I'm looking for? It's regained momentum, let me put it that way. And so I can definitely see it challenging this high over here. Corn. Y'all follow the corn market. Corn is not doing real well. I don't trade corn. Lean hogs are good. Yeah, lean hogs can they've said in the past that lean hogs can be a generational wealth commodity sometimes. I know it's kind of a silly term to use, but if you look at from March all the way to August, even where's August? Yeah, August, and even a little bit of October too. I mean, just look at this. That's beautiful. I mean, yes, you had this, but I mean, as long as it had stayed above the middle of this swing right here, in my opinion, it was gonna, like I said, it didn't even come close to it. So lean hogs, if you get in at the right time, this thing can take off. And look at that. That's a great move. And where did this was from May to April. Yeah. So lean hogs is good. Copper is sort of wishy-washy in my opinion. But back to gold. So this is what I was, starting to say about gold. Gold to me, I can't give a bias, guys, on this, because when I look at silver, I'm gonna move this up here. When I look at silver compared to gold, I mean, gold and silver are gonna follow each other, guys. I mean, it really is. So I mean, even if silver breaks above this high, man, we're gonna have to see something crazy for it to absolutely, eat up all of this and challenge this high. Now, I can see maybe gold, trying to challenge, the closing of these candles, but I wouldn't, if I was wanting to buy gold, I wouldn't expect it for right now to shoot all the way up to all-time highs and keep going, screaming up. So that's just me. Let's see. Okay. I think we're ready to get into the scary stuff. And that's crypto. So crypto, if you follow my other social media, I've pretty much nailed that to a T. And guys, it's not going to get any better. It really isn't. I'm sorry. So here's what I'll say. Let me get it up. So it already hit that. And I called that, when did I call it? I called it when it was up here at 96K. Actually, I'll go to this chart because this chart is where I had everything. So if you go back and you watch my other live streams as well, I think I talk about crypto a little bit in the beginning of January is when I called it. But yeah. Yeah. See, all of this. I already had this. So I was like, hey, if we don't find any traction above this level right here, which is a inverse for value gap right there. And why it's so powerful is because right here is what is called a false breakout. And a false breakout, following smart money concepts, the model that transpires that a lot of people can trade from a false breakout is what's called a turtle soup. And I know it's a weird name. And if you go to ICT's YouTube page, if you know who that is, then you'll understand it a little better. But anyways, when we see false breakouts, what I like to do is, yes, we do have an imbalance on the sell side of the curve of this false breakout. But what I like to take is the last imbalance from the buy side of the curve, because that is going to be more impactful of, if this was really a false breakout or if it's just going to be a retracement and we'll see it, show more strength to the upside. But after I saw this, I was like, this thing is going down. Now, in my opinion, I did not expect it to happen as sudden as it did. But as much as I, have my analysis on where things are going to go, I can't predict if it's going to happen tomorrow, 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, a month from now, to, like I said, in 4 hours or whatever. But it happened pretty quickly. So it's already hit the first level that I've had marked. And what I'm going to say is that, yes, I'll allow it to maybe draw back up into here. But if it stays inside these two candles right here, and doesn't show any willingness to get above them, we're definitely heading down here. And if it comes down here, this blue shaded box is on the monthly chart. It's a breaker. And like I said, if we get below here, and let's say it's towards the end of a month, April, whatever, I don't see a reason why they can't drop it down here. I really don't. So if it gets down here and it's the end of a certain month, yeah, this thing's probably accelerating even more. And I know it's scary, guys, because I mean, the last time Bitcoin was at 35K was when? 3 years ago, or December 2023. So It's not a good time to invest in crypto. That's what I'm trying to get at, guys. It's not a good time to invest in crypto. In my opinion, your best time to get into crypto was right here, guys. And that was what? What happened in November in 2024? We had some type of political event, presidential election. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, when it's the best time to invest in anything. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So that's Bitcoin. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum's even scarier, guys. Ethereum. I didn't say Siri. It's kind of scared me there. So here's the weekly chart on Ethereum, and this is what I have. If Ethereum if it trades below this low, which is the price of 1,383, I mean, what's stopping them from taking it below this low, which is 879? And if it goes to 879, if it goes to that low, what's stopping them from taking it here? And I know I keep going and going with this, but if they take it that low, like 490, what's stopping them from taking it to zero? I mean, really? Because, I mean, they can pull back everything. And yes, they could just, take it down to 490 just to pump it up to 5K or, 10K or whatever. Like I said, anything like that could happen. I just don't see that for the time being right now. From a technical analysis standpoint, if this thing gets below here, I can see it coming down here. And if it gets below here, I think it's over for Ethereum. And the next one, Solana, they take it down to 55, which is where, I think it's headed. I mean, the next is 15. If they take it to 15, what's stopping them from taking it to zero? Like, legit, guys. I'm not trying to, go against the grain, because I know a lot of people want to invest in crypto that, have seen what it's done in the past, which I get. I 100% get. But just like anything else, I mean, the law of diminishing returns holds true. And if you are hearing news about it and hearing hype around it, and you see a lot of propaganda that is advertising for it, and you hop on the bandwagon, I mean, does that make sense to you? Like if you think you're gonna win the lottery from crypto, because you've heard a lot of people win the lottery from crypto and get lucky and this, that, and the other. I mean, don't you think that it would make more sense for them to do the opposite, because they want to, give people a false sense of hope? If you're, let me put it this way. If you're hearing news about, how popular something is and how much, potential there is for it, or, or if somebody's saying this is going to go to the moon, this is going to look how much it's moved so far, it's going to go to the moon, blah, 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 blah. If you're hearing all of that, I mean, what makes more sense? That it's, it's real, or that, you missed the boat and it's just a smokescreen to draw people in? I mean, it kind of happened when, I think it was last year, not this past December, but the year before that, like December 2024. There was this, and if you, I don't know, maybe even if you aren't into, crypto or investing or anything like that, but there was this massive just hype around meme coins, and for lack of a better terms, I think they called them shit coins, that were on the Solana channel that were basically pumping and pumping and pumping for like a day or two. And I mean, you had crazy, like move, like it was insane. Like you had like, you see how this percentages like look like right here, look like right here. So you see how this says 71%, 29%. This one was a big one, 60%, 41%. You see how that says plus and then a percentage. So we're talking, some of these meme coins were in like the millions of percentages. Like I'm telling you, they were insane. And what did people do? People followed the hype. People got it, like they got in late on the party when it had already pumped. And there were so many people that lost so much money with it. And I knew people personally that ruined their lives, and even one person that ended up taking his life from it. And it was the worst thing in the world, in my opinion. So that's what I'm saying with all of this, like with crypto in general. Like if there is any advice that I can give to anybody right now, it's just like, it's not good. And the term of HODL, HODL, that says hold on for dear life. What is that? You're hoping and praying. And if you're hoping and praying in something like this, the odds are not in your favor. People win the lottery all the time. People get lucky. And, you could get in the right time. But if you think you're going to be the exception and you're betting your whole life savings on it, I would not do that, guys. And that's the reason why I said I'm not in anything long term. I don't have my money into anything right now except for my brokerage account that I have for day trading. And that is stagnant until I actually get into the market, because that's what, day trading, I get in and out of the market, and then I hold, my money is held in that account. So that's basically what I wanted to jump on here and talk about. I know let's see how long I've been on here. Been on here for about an hour. It's not fun when I have to, talk about all the negative stuff. But it's the most it's the logical answer. It's from a pure technical analysis standpoint, guys. Like I said, everything that I say in here is not from an emotional standpoint, because that's how day trading and investing needs to be. It needs to be emotionless. And when you combine emotion with your investments, that's a recipe for disaster. And I'm not, nobody's perfect. I have made mistakes in the past because of that. Did I learn from them? Yes. Could I make more mistakes in the future? Of course I can. But I'm going to do everything in my power not to, be as reckless as I was in the past. So that's my overview, guys. Oops, no, I don't want to get into my broker. I meant to go to here. Anyway, so let's see. don't want to talk about anything else. You want to hear me babble on about any more stuff? Let me think. Let's look at, see where we're at, because we're getting towards the end of the day. Still inside that daily fair value gap, guys. So, let's look at next week's news. Monday. Okay. Nothing crazy next week, guys. I really do hope that all of this has helped somewhat of give you a perspective on how to think as a smart investor. Like, even if you don't day trade, even if you don't invest, I mean, eventually somebody is going to suggest, hey, divert, some of your money or your portfolio into a 401k or Roth IRA or something like that. And so, I mean, yes, you can hire a financial advisor and they can tell you what to do, obviously. But in my opinion, I want to be in control. Yes, I'm biased because I'm a day trader, but I want to be in control of where my money is put into. So with that all being said, just don't. It's hard to put into words because until you experience some losses from all of this, whether they be small, large, everything or nothing at all, that's what'll make you pay attention, and it'll kick your ass into gear. And it just happens because it's a life lesson at the end of the day. I'll close with this. I followed so many different gurus, if you wanted to call them that, or outside sources. That's a better word to use. Outside sources that did crypto investing and stuff like that. And I basically just followed them and whatever they did, because why? They had an audience. And I thought that was a direct correlation of their performance in these, markets. And it really isn't, because, the longer I do this, the more experience that I gain, the more I see, what everybody posts on social media, and it's all BS, guys. It really is. And I know I don't have a large audience, or I don't have any way to, get my point across other than here. And like I said, I don't even know if anybody's going to watch these. But don't follow the hype, guys. And even when I give my own personal opinion, I never tell anybody, put your money into here, put your money into there. I never say that, because ultimately that's your decision at the end of the day. Well, I can show you what I see. I can show you my, analysis, but you have to make that decision. Don't let anybody else influence the decisions you make with your money. And like I said, if you have a financial advisor, or if you hire a financial advisor, fact check, or make sure they have a good resume, guys, or ask all the right questions. And if anybody needs help with what questions to ask, please reach out to me. Please comment. I'm here to help, because I'll circle back around with you know, what I was saying at the beginning of all this is that I don't care if nobody knows who I am or nobody knows about this channel, or like I said, that's not what I care about. I care about other people's personal well-being more than, you know, becoming a clout chaser. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the reason why I do this is so somebody can either figure out for themselves that this is something that they might want to do, or they're going to figure out it's something that they don't want to do. And for me, I had to basically, and this is how I found out it was for me. I basically hit rock bottom. Like I was not good. I was not in a good place mentally as far as, you know, stuff that was going on in my personal life and my financial life. So it was a dark time. But during that time, I was learning how to do this. And what I came to the realization is that, man, I've experienced so much pain, so much heartbreak with all of this, but I'm still here doing it. And I'm still here, you know, working my butt off because I know what I'm capable of. And that's the thing with this, or with anything that you know, want to do with your life. It doesn't have to be day trading, guys. Keep showing up. Keep, you know, moving forward. And I know it's such a cliche thing to say, a simple thing to say, but at the end of the day, that's all that it takes to be successful with anything. So just do it. Just dive head first, guys. I promise you're not going to be disappointed whether, you know, you fall flat on your face or maybe you don't succeed with whatever that you do. If you dive head first, give 100% of your effort, I promise you're going to feel a lot better about yourself. So my closing statement is, to quote Nike, just do it. Do it scared. Do it tired. Do it broke. Do it, you know, whatever you're going through. Just do it, guys. Because the thing, where you want to get to and where you're at right now, the only thing that's stopping you is that fear that you have. And I promise, you know, once you get over that fear, nothing can hold you back. Nothing can hold you back. Okay, so wrapping up. So that was my overall market analysis of where we're at currently. Like I said, do with it what you want. I don't want to say anything about moving forward of, you know, when my next live stream is going to be, because I told you guys, I'm sorry, I have not been consistent with it. So I apologize for that. If people show more interest, let me put it this way. If people show more interest, or I see maybe some more activity on this channel, I might think about doing it a little bit more often. But like I said, I'm not really looking to gain a huge following or gain a huge audience. I just want to do this because this is what I love to do. This is my passion. This is my business. This is my life, essentially. And you can call me boring. You can call me a nerd. You can call me whatever. But I don't care. I'm going to do what I love at the end of the day. So, like I said, wrapping up. Today was Friday, December 20th, right there. And yeah, we will catch you next time, whenever that is. Be safe, y'all.